Hey, it's Kristin here from Magoosh. Ever hear the expression, that's the way a cookie crumbles? Well, that is called an idiom. And an idiom is a common expression in the language that, with a meaning that's been agreed upon over time, but that someone who's just learning the language might have a hard time understanding. Like, it's raining cats and dogs, or I see the light. But if you think that those are the kind of idioms that the ACT test, well, then you are barking up the wrong tree, my friend. Another idiom. Even so, you're going to hear that ACT teachers and tutors all the time will tell you the ACT test idioms, or you should learn idioms for the test. So I'm going to give you an easier way to think about it. Ready? The ACT test prepositions. Most of the idioms that you see on the ACT are going to be prepositional idioms, which means if you see a preposition underlined, then you want to be very careful to check it. So let me give you an example of that. John and Sue are preoccupied on studying idioms. On is underlined, so our answer choices are no change, in, over, or with. John and Sue are preoccupied on studying idioms, preoccupied in studying idioms, preoccupied over studying idioms, or preoccupied with studying idioms. And D's our answer. They're preoccupied with studying idioms. Now, idiom questions can be the nemesis of so many test takers because there isn't one rule you can memorize to learn them. There aren't even 10 rules, there aren't even 50 rules. You just have to know them. So I'm going to give you some tips for studying idioms for the ACT that will hopefully help you with this difficult question type. And the first is to review the most common idioms. Now I know I said that there's no way to necessarily predict which idioms are going to be on the test, and there's no exhaustive list, but you can study the most common ones, and that will help you A, feel more comfortable with idioms, but B, also be prepared for the ones that are most likely to show up on the test. And I've included some helpful links for that below, so you can check that out and review those. The second tip is to learn the two-part idioms. There's a shorter list of common ones of these, and I have some help for that below as well too. So not only, but also. If you say not only, you have to later in the sentence say but also. Or if you say either, you have to say or. Neither always goes with nor, and both and. So learn these as well too, and make sure you're watching out for them on the test, because sometimes you'll just see nor underlined in the sentence, and you need to check and make sure there's a neither and not an either elsewhere in the sentence to fix it. And finally, read it out loud. Now I know you can't exactly read out loud of the test, that probably would get you kicked out, but you can pronounce the words. Read it as if you were speaking out loud. So silently pronounce them. It can really help your ear hear whether something sounds right or sounds funny, and that's really what you have to do in a lot of preposition questions. Go with what's familiar, what sounds right, what sounds like what you've heard before. Okay, so study the most common ones, learn the two-part ones, and most importantly, read out loud, and you'll have mastered idioms in no time. I will see you next TuesdACT.